we have made it 9 years, 8 years into GST, and we're ready to take this to the next level. All great. The rationalization itself, much needed. But what do those guys do now for these 2 months? And it's the argument that it's okay. Now they'll do all this business all together around Diwali when the GST cuts actually happen. But it doesn't work that way. There are going to be leakages, right? Because the festivals are now. And there are capacity constraints even here. They can't do 4 months of business.
Things become cheaper over time, right? In tech, that's what they bank on. That
Yeah.
eventually my hardware spending will reduce. If they felt that way, why would they still be putting so much money into hardware, into data centers that will come like 3-4 years down?
Because right now it's a land grab.
With money they don't have. Hello and welcome back to What Was That, the weekly-ish podcast where we discuss the latest tech and business news that mostly impacts India. But there's a lot of global stuff going on. Has there been a lot of global stuff going on this week, Nitesh? Yes or no?
By definition, there always is. But both my stories this week are India related and taxation related. But I'll do my best to keep them interesting. Before we
I
start,
think we should no tax. That's my. I think no tax. What do you think? Let's do it.
it is not a yes or no question.
Yes, it's a yes now. No tax is a yes. Yes tax is a no. As simple as that. Do it.
Yeah. Anyway, before we start, I finished Apple in China. Loved it. In the acknowledgements, the author mentions chip war, and he speaks very highly of it. So I went and got chip war, and I finished that. And it's not fair to compare the two, but chip war is much more comprehensive, much broader, and dare I say it, more relevant even than Apple in China.
I should
So,
reread that. It is a fantastic book I read many years ago.
oh, you
I
have?
won't.
Okay, cool.
I should
I
reread
just
that. It's been a
I
while.
love how like the transistor enters the narrative in the second or third chapter. That's how far back it goes, and right up to present day. So you finally understand why this is so important,
Yeah.
who all the players are. It is fantastic. I really enjoyed Apple in China, and then this just took it up like a couple more notches for me. So a definite recommendation to you, and thank you again for Apple in China. I will follow that up with a non-fiction recommendation. Read Project Hail Mary. There's a movie coming out next year.
That is a hopefully that is a fiction recommendation. You mean
Yes,
not a
sorry, I
non-fiction
said
recommendation?
non-fiction. Sorry, I meant fiction.
Yeah, that's a
Uh, I
fantastic book.
I don't read much fiction, but I wanted to take a break after two back-to-back Silicon and manufacturing books. I love The Martian, the movie, same author. So I haven't read that though. The
Oh, you
seeming
should read it. It's a fantastic book. It is an amazing book. You should absolutely read The Martian. It is
nice.
so much more detailed and so much more intense and funny.
Nice.
Like the movie is also quite funny, but yeah,
Hmm,
absolutely read The Martian also.
cool. So I love
I'm.
Hail Mary, and I'm following that up with Jurassic Park, the book,
You've
which is
never read Jurassic? Oh my god! Oh man, I wish I could go back in time and reread or read Jurassic Park for the first time again. What a book!
I'm almost done, but oh, super, super.
That
And
that that scene in the book, I don't know what you call it. That chapter where they are calculating the numbers of the dinosaurs on the island, and suddenly the Velociraptor number is like out
it
of nowhere,
increased.
37. Uh,
Yeah.
That is classic horror.
And the science behind it, the logic that Professor Ian Malcolm says, run a query, but up the number because he knows the logical error that these guys have made in the code. It is so good, so good. I love that, and I don't know because you can't separate the movie from the books, right? Because I have
Hmm.
obviously seen the movie first about 100 times, so every time it mentions a character in my head, I have like Sam Neill or whoever in that place. But then there are a lot of small differences and some big ones, and I love those. I really like that,
The book
and
is so good.
pretty sophisticated writing for the 80s and 90s, late 80s, early 90s, something like that.
I
Pretty
guess
sophisticated writing.
it came in it was turned into a movie very quickly. Like
Oh,
there was
okay.
a bidding war for it as soon as the book came out.
All right.
I
I did not know that.
It
Mm-hmm.
like almost instantly the war started. Every studio wanted it. Steven Spielberg was specifically brought in to, this will convince Michael Crichton. If I again am a little vague on the details,
Hmm.
but yeah, I think it was signed on within 6 months.
Okay, so still mid 90s, right? The book.
Yeah, I think 91, 92 is when the movie came out.
Yeah. Amazing.
Yeah.
That's pretty good writing. The tech, the logic.
And just I don't know if this was in the book, this dialogue, but
Mhm.
your scientists were so preoccupied with whether they could that they never stopped to think
It's
if they
there in the
should.
book. All the great lines of the movie are in the book. They're right there because you always thought, wow, kya adapt kiya. That's what I always thought. That, they took this dry science-ish book and then made it into like a proper pulp fiction action movie. But no, the book is exactly like that. All the great lines are in the book.
Sci-fi action horror thriller.
Yeah, it's so good. So good.
And just the ending part, which is not in the movie, when they're tracking the migration. I know
Mm.
we're giving spoilers, but it's a 30-year-old book. You should have read it by now. Uh,
I
that there is
knew.
a debt to nature, right?
Yeah,
There's no reason for them to track it. It's just that there is a debt to nature that we must repay
yeah.
for no payoff to the people on the island. But I loved that part. Poetic. The Lost World, not so much.
Same with the
All the
movie.
other movies have been shitty.
Yeah,
Like
but
Jurassic Park 3.
uh-huh.
Funnily, okay, Sam Neill in the movie looks like Alan Grant in the movie. Right. I don't want to do this. I don't want to go
Correct.
back, but I
Yeah,
have to do it for the money. You can
exactly.
tell that Sam Neill's expression is the same. I don't want to do this movie, but I have to do it for the money.
So he was doing method acting.
Absolutely. And the new ones, God, no. Oh, God. All of the new ones, they are so shitty. They are
Yeah.
so terrible. They are so terrible. Anyhow, story number one,
Wait,
Nitesh.
one very last thing,
Yes.
because somehow we tend to have pop culture in the opening segment. I don't know why. My kids and I just watched the first Karate Kid, the original.
Ah, what a movie.
The writing is so good.
Yes.
Every scene takes the narrative forward. There's no fluff, nothing. Everything on, like, every single frame is either developing a character or setting up a situation that's going to come ahead. And it's like masterclass of show don't tell. They don't shove it down your throat. It's there. You might notice it, you might not. There's so much detail in the movie and so good. My kids loved it.
I should rewatch. Been a while.
Oh, it's
You
great.
like it.
I'm tempted to chase it with Cobra Kai, the show. You know
I
about
couldn't
Cobra
really get
Kai?
into it. I couldn't really get into it.
Okay, right.
It was a nice throwback.
Uh-huh.
Watched the first few episodes, but it was like I couldn't really get into the character development, so I just never
Right.
followed through.
I am tempted though, but the upside is my kids absolutely loved it, both of them.
Then
So,
you should.
and
Mm.
that is increasingly rare now for both of them to like the same movie, because my daughter is a little older, so she needs more narrative, more dialogue, and my son needs for things to constantly be happening on the screen to hold his attention. But
Okay.
Karate Kid has both, and I watched it, and my wife watched it, so we've basically streamed the movie 4 times separately. I watched it first alone to make sure it's okay for the kids, and then we watched it together. And then my wife caught like a few scenes here and there. She had never seen it before either, so she actually,
Have
uh,
you seen the new Superman?
I have in theaters. Yeah,
Loved it. I like that it was sincere.
nice. Yeah, I like that Superman was nice. That
Superman, yeah, like I miss the sincerity that Marvel seems to have. Like, but everything needs to be followed by an ironic quip. Like, two people are just happy to talk to each other, and then there has to be an ironic joke from Iron Man. So, yeah,
Hmm. Yeah,
I
Superman was
appreciate
just
that.
like a throwback to classic Christopher Reeve Superman, right? In that he might not have all the answers, but he's honest. You could
Yeah,
always count on that he's honest. So I like that. I mean, I love Christopher Reeve, so I like
let's finally begin.
that. From Superman to GST. Okay, I'll try.
I'm thinking of a relevant segue, but I
There
am
isn't
not. I am not getting one.
There isn't one. There isn't one. 15th August was Independence Day, and the Prime Minister in his speech announced that we are going to enter the era of GST 3.0, I think he said. Yeah, 3.0. There's going to be a rationalization of the rates. Right now, there's 5%, 12%, 18, 28, and beyond. So the 12% slab is going to be done away with. A lot of goods and services from there are going to move to 5. It's not clear, but I suspect that some will move to 18. I'm not sure. Let's see. There is chatter that health and life term insurance is going to be completely exempt from GST, which is great because we are woefully underpenetrated when it comes to insurance as a country per capita, whatever by that metric. And yeah, just the implications of that, of how it's great. Markets have reacted very positively. This was the first week that broader indices ended up in like a month and a half
Yeah, they've been just flat
since
for
the
like the last
tussle.
3 months.
No, not flat exactly. There has been a lot of volatility since the tussle started over tariffs and
Fair.
friendship ended with USA. Now China is my best friend. All of that. So that is still playing out. It's not ideal, but it makes sense, right? If like India's been doing this for a very long time, we tend to gravitate away from one and then towards the other, and it's just
And then
instead of
go
the
just full
sorry.
gung ho and set the IT cell, yes or no towards one country. Best friend,
Ah,
actually, best friend.
that is internal messaging. Fuck that. But just in terms of like strategically, what options are there? We are not geopolitical experts naturally, but we have seen this. We've always been at war with Oceania. It's
Hmm.
every country does this. They have to do it, right? You can't have permanent allies and permanent enemies. It doesn't make sense. So I'm okay with that. The problem is China is like an immediate neighbor, so this is fraught. There was a reason those restrictions, which did not make sense to me, but there was a reason though those were put in, right? And I don't know. It's not a great place to be. Is all I'm saying. And the choices are limited, so naturally we're gravitating towards the other opposite. You know? But anyway, forget geopolitics. Back to GST. Now, there is also talk that 28% that slab is going to be done away with, and a shit ton of consumer electronics are there, like air conditioners are there. I think refrigerators are there. A bunch of stuff. Now the problem is for refrigerators and air conditioners and all of these appliances, the week we are going to enter very soon marks the start of their season in terms of people defer their big ticket household purchases for Diwali, Dasara, starting from Ganesh Chaturthi, which is
Hmm.
next week, right? So this is like the start of the season for consumer durables
Yeah.
specifically. Now the announcement has come, but as of today, the tax rate is
The
still the old one.
28%. Huh.
Yeah. And all these guys are chock full of inventory because season hai yaar. So it has the old MRPs. They've bought it at the old tax rate, and uh, during the transition from VAT to GST, there was a lot of windfall that a lot of people made this way because they bought it at a different tax rate, and then it was classified under something else, and so people did make like there was an arbitrage there,
Hmm.
and there were specific rules of how you can't do profiteering, and we will prosecute you, and but it's not realistic. Like I'm not aware of much prosecution that happened in that transition, so I'm not sure if that will happen now. So with that caveat, they're sitting on inventory, but people aren't buying. People are finalizing. There is the intent to purchase, but they're not buying. It's the same with cars right now. People are deferring their purchase because it's like a month and a half away, right?
And it's a huge, huge difference in price.
Yeah, on cars it could be straight like 7, 8, 10%, and then the road tax cascades like on top of that, right? So it could be a huge amount, and nobody wants to look like a moron. Buy something this week and have it be
Yeah.
available 2, 3 months from now at a much cheaper price. So the industry is kind of in limbo, and not just one. Many industries are in limbo. Automobiles, consumer durables, and for both, it is peak season. Like this is when they start doing overtime. This is when they do like two-thirds of the year's business in this half of the year, if that makes sense. So
I'm remembering what was the dialogue by, I'm obviously aging myself here, but Stan Laurel to Oliver Hardy, or was it the other way around? That's another fine mess you've gotten us into. Like, how does this always happen?
this actually ties into my second story also, but I think at least in part it looks like there's no feedback loop from the industry, which is weird because lobbying happens. It happens in India for sure, and it happens everywhere in the world. There's nothing wrong with lobbying itself, because you do need to have an interface with the government to present your interests. Different people do it in different way. Corporates tend to have better access than other interest groups, right? So they have a like a direct line, so to speak. But this, it's so weird. Like, what if I was an appliance salesman or an appliance store owner? What do I tell any customers who have walked in? And because customer बहुत शाना है, like they know this news, even if they haven't picked up a newspaper in a decade, they know about this particular news because it affects them directly, right? And it finds its way to them in conversations, in social media, wherever.
Which was the intent of the government also, very clearly.
Yeah, the messaging was really
Yeah.
powerful. Like, here it is. We have made it 9 years, 8 years into GST, and we're ready for the to take this to the next level. All great. The rationalization itself, much needed. Seriously, much needed.
Yeah.
But what do those guys do now for these 2 months? And it's the argument that it's okay. Now they'll do all this business all together around Diwali when the GST cuts actually happen. But it doesn't work that way. There are going to be leakages, right? Because the festivals are now, and
Yeah.
there are capacity constraints even here. Like, they can't do 4 months of business in 2 weeks, right?
They'll have to do some discounting, I guess. Right. But again, they can't do too much discounting because this is still speculative. This is not
Exactly. They don't
guaranteed.
know. They don't know for sure what their tax rate will be. Although there is a GST Council meet on the 4th of September. So we'll have clarity straight away, I think, because by then, if they've announced to meet, then they should have built consensus already.
Hopefully.
But
Hopefully. Yeah.
yeah, but then again, this isn't software, right? It has a lead time. You need to do production planning. So all that is done. There's a shit ton of inventory in the system, in the pipeline, and as of now, there aren't many takers for this reason. So that was curious. I thought that uh, and it is an unintended consequence. Like, I'm not cynical enough to think that somebody wanted this to happen. It's unintended,
Hmm.
but I hope it all evens out in the end.
But I agree
That's
with
all.
you that if there were effective lobbying making its way all the way to the top, the message being heard all the way to the top,
Mhm.
then this would have been the first thing they would have said. That it'll lead to a 3 month funk right in the middle of the festive season. So yeah, there is a gap somewhere in messaging.
Maybe the messaging has gone through. The only way we'll know is if we look at the inventory levels of these consumer durable companies when they put out their quarterly filings, which will be after the festive season. So they'll
Yeah,
come in end October, early November. Maybe if you look back then, even then, you'll just have a snapshot of their inventory on the 30th of September, right? Not what happened through the quarter, but if there is a large buildup, it will be immediately apparent then. So that's something to look out for around about Diwali.
but companies are also, well, they've always been the habit of hiding bad news or couching it in okay
So
terms. They're also in a habit, or they've built a habit over the last many years of
uh-huh.
not talking negatively about policy at all. So I don't think it's
Huh.
very likely that anyone will end up saying that, look,
I'm
because
not
of the
saying that
GST, whatever.
people will
No.
speak up. No, they'll give other reasons because
Hmm.
political compulsions. and I'm okay with that. But I think the books, if they are accurate, and they will be accurate for most companies, will tell the true story, of how much throughput actually happened, because they would have demand estimates, and they would have ramped up or ramped down production accordingly, right? Most of these companies have been doing this for years and years, like Bajaj Appliances or whatever. They've been doing this for decades, so they're pretty good at demand forecasting.
Yeah.
Let's see let's see how their quarter goes. I hope for the best, because this quarter, and to a lesser extent the next one, makes up a bulk of the profitability of most of these companies for the whole year. So this happens a lot with traders, people in the supply chain, those kind of traders, not stock traders or speculators, uh, where you have all your profits are concentrated in like one quarter, and if for whatever reason you lose that, that's just it. You write off the whole year. You barely break even, if that. So these
Yikes.
companies are not so precarious. Naturally, they have other, like they're diversified, and they hedge their bets, etc., etc. More sophisticated than your average cloth merchant, but still, this quarter is important. And right now, they have launched off one cliff, and they're midair, and they haven't quite landed on the destination cliff yet. So I hope Looney Tunes logic doesn't apply, and they don't look down and then fall down.
Just don't look down and you'll keep flying.
Yeah, that's Wile E. Coyote logic,
Yeah.
physics. Yeah, so that's it. This a really interesting thing, like actual reform, and that's going to be an absolute good asterisk. I'll confirm that when we see the fine print, but it's going to be an absolute good. However, it might still impact one quarter and maybe the whole year for some companies. Hoping for the best for all these companies, because
Agreed.
they're a big part of the economy, right?
Agreed, and absolutely agreed that this is a great announcement. If we follow through properly, then yeah, this is a huge positive all around.
Yeah.
My first story, bit of a roundup on what's been happening on the AI space. GPT-5 was launched.
Have you tried doing anything substantial on GPT-5 yet? Like any differences from 4.0? You were using 4.0 earlier, right?
I was using 4.0 earlier. Yes, I'm on the paid plan. I'm now on the new Indian paid plan, 399 rupees,
Oh, okay,
as of 2 days ago.
cool.
So, because why not? It doesn't have advanced reasoning, but I have no idea what advanced reasoning means. So, I'll probably be okay. Nobody knows what advanced reasoning means. Uh, I haven't found God yet. So, yeah, GPT-5 came out. This is the model that Sam Altman has been hyping up for the last 2 years. Sorry, I'm moving around too much. I look like a car salesman. Hello, dear reader, dear viewer. Still appreciate you. I would,
Wait. The Google Pixel phone launched, right?
yeah,
And you had the Late Show host. What's his name?
Jimmy
Uh,
Fallon.
yeah, Jimmy Fallon was there for the announcement for some reason, and he was bouncing around. And the top comment on Reddit, I think, was, "Why does this look like an Aptola?" It was
So
exactly.
that's what all the podcasts are also saying about. It looks like a QVC late night spot. That Jimmy Fallon getting, oh my god, it has the latest tensor chip.
He's clearly on something, right? I mean,
Well,
at least I hope.
have you seen
Obviously.
that? Have you seen that one clip of Jimmy Fallon and who was his guest? Was it Lady Gaga? Who was his guest? Uh, Talking about the apes they bought.
The apes.
The apes, the
Mm.
NFTs of the apes. Remember
Ah,
the board
okay.
ape
Board
got
apes. Right. No.
yeah. Yeah. So they are trying to excitedly talk about the apes they just bought, the
Hmm.
NFTs they just bought, and you can tell that neither of them has any
Any.
clue or any interest. But oh my god, what show me yours? This is mine. I should link to that. It is a bizarre piece of pop culture from the
So
mid early 2020s.
Google's
That
media team saw that and said, "That's the energy we want for our launch." Cool. Okay.
like 3 years ago was a wildly different era.
Right. Okay.
Yeah.
Let's go with that.
So yes, I've been using GPT-5. I haven't seen, but again, a lot of the complaints immediately started cropping up.
Mm-hmm.
People have gotten used to 4.0, right?
Yeah.
Used to it working a certain way. They've sort of built their workflow accordingly. They've started prompting accordingly.
Mm-hmm.
And sudden changes then cause a lot of chaos suddenly to people's lives, right? It's habit. You expect it to work a certain way. Anyhow, most of us can't define what is better. Right. There are benchmarks, but benchmarks are meant to be gamed. We've seen that across industries, especially in the mobile industry, anyhow. Right. Nobody knows how to benchmark this stuff or actually talk about what is better, how to
Mm-hmm.
describe what better even means. So I haven't seen it. The launch was a fair bit of a flub
Right.
because they removed all the earlier models, including 4.0.
But isn't that a criticism you had that what do I do? How do I choose from amongst this model? I don't care. Just give me the GPT that works, right?
Yes,
So they've
I
addressed that.
am. Honestly, given how much I use GPT,
Uh-huh.
personally, I'm sort of okay either way, right? I know how to see through the psychophancy, but they
Huh?
removed the psychophancy, and suddenly people were like, the personality is gone. People were complaining about the
I
psychophancy, and
think
now they removed it, and the personality is gone.
people cribbing about updates to OSs or apps has been a thing for 2 decades now, right? It's just
Yeah,
this is unfamiliar. I don't like it straight away. And then 2 years from now, you're going to be defending the exact thing that you dislike right now.
yeah.
Then why have you changed the good old GPT-5?
We've discussed this multiple times, right? There were like 9 or 10 different choices to choose from, and they
Mm-hmm.
just melded it all together into GPT-5. And then people complained. So there was a drastic switch in the personality. It was less psychophantic. It was less, great question. You are a genius for even thinking of that question, right? They removed
How
that.
do you operate at that level? Yeah.
I know, exactly. You are not only genius, you are indigenous. Exactly that energy. Satish Shah and DDLJ, exactly that energy. So, yeah, so they removed that. And people started missing Satish Shah like instantly. So then they brought it back.
Deep cut,
And they,
huh? The reference. Very nice. I would have gone with Purushi nahi Mahapurusho, but
that too, yeah, yeah,
very
that too,
nice.
that
Sorry,
also fit.
keep going. Keep going.
So, yeah, the major change to GPT-5, I'll tell you where the problem really lies. It is supposed to be a more advanced model, right? But they've hyped it up so much over the last 2 years
Hmm.
that people start expecting this will be wildly different.
Right.
And like we've also discussed before, that this whole legion of LinkedIn users and AI bloggers who don't even know how to exist other than just hyping up whatever is going on. Like I'll take one example of some random AI blogger. I am
Mm-hmm.
passionate about exploring the exciting world of artificial intelligence. I share insights, trends, innovations
Right.
in AI. These people are never going to talk negatively about AI, about anything, whatever technology they're pimping.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So there's this whole machinery just building up hype. So I'll take you through some of what the stuff that this guy said. He wrote this a few months ago about what is coming in GPT-5.
Right.
And again, I'm not naming the guy because there's millions of these, or at least thousands of these guys. It doesn't matter. He's one of them.
Mm-hmm.
Consider a robot which is able to observe a live feed, read PDF files, interpret X ray, participate in real time audio discussions, create hyper detailed reports simultaneously. GPT-5 is expected to support multimodal reasoning by default. Well, fair, sure. Right. Immediacy in responding to pictures, works, or audio, live medical scans and medical checks, whatever live medical scan means. Does he mean real time? I don't know. Such a development will open the door to genuine human AI cooperation in action. GPT-5 is anticipated be able to plan several phases of getting something done. It can absolutely not do that, at least so far. Right. Self-learning agents that fault, diagnose, plan, and optimize systems. I'm guessing fault here means find faults in scientific aids who create hypotheses. Right. We're getting into a phase where AI does not play an assistant role to human beings, but thinks like them, can adapt on the fly. You've built so much hype up through these thousands of unpaid, like obviously Sam Altman is not communicating, OpenAI is not communicating with these people. They're just doing
Right.
it for their own purposes to sound intelligent, right? Then expectations are going to be pumped up. And as soon as GPT-5 launches, and there's also a fair point to be made here that it's far better than, it might not be far better than GPT-4o, right? It might not have changed things in a day, but if you look at GPT-4, which came out like I think a year and a half ish or 2 years ago, there's
Mm-hmm.
been a huge improvement or change anyhow in how these things work. So
Right.
if you look at 4 versus 5, there's a huge change. 4o versus 5 in one day, maybe not so much, but this will also improve over time. But
Mm-hmm.
just the fact that expectations have been built up so much, the hype has been built up so much by these very people. Like Sam Altman himself has been saying GPT-5 is going to be this. There's this one screenshot I saw of some keynote of like they're showing GPT-3 is this land animal, GPT-4 is this land animal, and GPT-5 is this blue whale.
Okay.
As scientific as it gets. Right. GPT-6 is probably going to be a planet. So you're building up hype. Now you suffer with it. So a lot of criticism. Then they immediately brought back GPT-4o. There is also a thought here that this is now the beginning of the enshittification era of GPTs.
We're
Like I
really
want,
doing a speed run of this technology. No? We usually get like 10, 15 years of the good times before enshittification happens.
they're spending so much money so quickly.
Yeah.
They don't have a choice anymore. And I want to get into a few examples of enshittification. I'll come to how GPT-5 is actually a part of it. So this is a
Mm-hmm.
story I wanted to do a couple of months ago. Like Ed Zitron, again, this PR guy I keep mentioning, who's done fantastic deep dives into this. I pay $7 a month for one newsletter, and it is so worth it.
Mm-hmm.
He's basically gone into how. So okay, and this has broader ramifications for the industry. I know I'm jumping all over the place, but there is this app called Cursor, which
Mm-hmm.
many coders have been using. It's like the whole vibe coding phenomenon, right?
Okay.
Cursor is
Right.
one of the key players that I will just prompt my way into code, into building apps,
Right.
into building websites, into doing advanced level coding. A lot of people
Mm-hmm.
were using it, and at the back end was Claude, Anthropic's AI
Okay.
product,
Right.
competitor to ChatGPT. A bit of a actually not a sidebar, but bit of a deep dive into one specific aspect. So all instructions are passed in number of tokens, right? A token is basically a set of character, and that is how pricing is done
Mm-hmm.
for AI tools. Number of tokens I use as input and how much output I'm getting.
That's how they do
So
metering. Yeah.
that's how they do metering, right? Now I might be on an unlimited subscription plan, but there's always, it's like fair use policy, right? Like even Airtel has.
Mm-hmm.
So same thing. So there's someone put out this tool called CC usage to see like Claude code usage to see how many tokens you're actually using. And then Edzitron calculated that Claude has basically said they're sitting on a 45% gross margin. So they're
Mm-hmm.
spending 55% on tokens, therefore, of their total revenue,
Right.
uh, based on the token costs that they have, pricing that they've announced for APIs.
Mm-hmm.
So net, some users, if you look at CC usage and see their token usage, some users were spending thousands of dollars a month on their $20 subscription, like
Oof.
just going wild with it. The amount of code they were running and building.
Right.
This is
Mm-hmm.
one Reddit thread where one guy bragged, one Chinese user bragged, I think this is 2 weeks ago, about using $50,000 worth of tokens on a $200 subscription. And others are like, why you're spoiling this for the rest of us? So
Be
yeah,
cool, man. Be
sorry.
cool. Be cool. I have a real life example, a parallel to this. There was this company called Movie Pass.
Yes, exactly.
Same
Very close
thing,
parallel. There's a couple of key differences, but
right?
very close parallel. Movie passes never seemed to have a model that would work.
Do these guys? I
Good point.
don't think so.
Which is hence the enshittification, right? Which also movie pass speed ran through.
Right.
Because, yeah, if you give me an unlimited plan, I am going to use it unlimited.
What do you think is going to happen? Yeah.
And if you give me a $200 plan, the only people who are going to spend $200 a month are going to be the super heavy users
Yeah.
who will run through thousands of dollars. So what Claude did was it introduced priority processing. That
Uh-huh.
sounds great, right? No, it is the worst thing in the world, because the presence of a priority customer tier implies the presence of a non-priority customer tier. So obviously now you have to pay more to be priority. So they put cursor on that list of people we will ask for much more money at the back end.
Right.
So they suddenly ramped up the costs to Cursor because Cursor was running on Cloud APIs.
Uh-huh.
So suddenly Cursor, which was not making money anyhow, was not profitable anyhow, their costs like just random suddenly shot up in June.
Right.
So then Cursor increased pricing suddenly to its users, and the Reddit Cursor forum, which was all praise and people sharing their experiments and results and whatnot,
Uh-huh.
suddenly went into full on what is this enshittification going on, which is where this multimodal thing is a bit of a trap, is what I feel.
Mm.
Where GPT chooses the model for you versus you getting to choose the model means it's probably going to it gives itself the right to push a particular user towards a particular model.
Right.
High reasoning, low reasoning. Apparently, enough people are now saying that it will send you towards a weaker model, even if you're on the $200 plan, unless you write "think harder" in the prompt.
I
So
don't know. That
again,
never seems to work with my kids.
ask your kids if that works with you.
Good.
I can't buy a PS5. Work harder.
Work hard. Nice.
So
I don't know, man. It's inevitable, right? You had the customer acquisition phase where, and the secondary companies which are just wrappers around somebody else's LLM. What is your moat, anyways?
that is the problem. That is the very
You'll be
interesting.
at the mercy of
Yeah,
whichever model you hitched your trailer to, right? You will have to go where they point. What else are you gonna
that
do?
is a huge problem for the industry that might just kill the industry,
Yeah.
because these companies all need to lose a hell of a lot of money before they start becoming profitable. If they ever become profitable,
Mm-hmm.
they need to lose a lot of money, right? Because there is a bit of a not a network effect really, but if
You would
enough
still
people are
need
on the
critical
model,
mass. You still
there's
do need
critical mass, right? Which you will need to spend a lot on, because a lot of these models are, like we've discussed before, they're commoditized. And
yeah.
I'm not even talking about the core LLMs. I'm talking about the wrappers on top. So
Mm-hmm.
the the core LLMs are the biggest tech companies in the world, right? And now they're running to the soft banks and the Saudis of the world to fund themselves.
Mm-hmm.
So nobody can compete with them now. So
Right.
therefore, the only people who could in AI try to build a competitive model are the layer one services, right? Which are on top of a wrapper. But now the most popular layer one services like Cursor, etc. This is a huge weakness that has been exposed. That if they get too popular, the and also see there's also a link. The same week, actually, I should have mentioned this earlier. The
Mm-hmm.
same week that Claude increased pricing for Cursor, they introduced Claude Code 4, the
Ah.
latest version, right? So, and there's also like OpenAI was in talks to buy this other coding service called Windsurf, layer one coding service. The
Okay.
acquisition did not go through, but just because there was this expectation that Windsurf will be bought out by OpenAI,
Right.
Claude killed their access.
Oof.
So
Good them.
therefore, the message going out is, if a wrapper it flies too close to the sun, the core LLM models, whenever they're introducing a product, or if they just don't like it, they will just yank access or just massively increase the price, killing the model. So if layer one companies then don't get funding, How does this industry even survive? Then there's only 5 companies that can ever make any money in this industry, and you can't build an ecosystem on that. It's very dangerous.
But
So this,
that is
yeah,
short-term thinking also, right? Isn't it strategically in their best interest to have hundreds and thousands of these wrapper companies, because they're paying well, they're paying on time. And again, I know it's not a one-to-one fit, but I'm thinking about this in terms of like the App Store and
yeah,
Apple encouraging applications onto the App Store. That was like that alone unlocked more than $1 trillion of value, right? In all the things that it led to afterwards.
and the iPhone would absolutely not be as big as it is without the
Naturally,
apps.
without the apps, right?
Hmm.
So why not? I'm talking out of my ass here, but why not allow the same paradigm to flourish even in AI?
Because well, my theory is the most obvious reason here is that the iPhone made Apple money. These models are losing these companies so much money that I don't think they're in a position to let other companies. People are people, right? Egos are egos. Like, how can that guy make a huge profit and get so much funding off of my code, my model, when I am losing so much money? And they are subsidizing the layer ones, right? They're absolutely subsidizing the layer ones
Yeah,
because these
yeah,
guys are not making money themselves.
I'm investing in them and all kinds of shenanigans.
In when buying people out for crazy salaries, Meta. A month and a half ago, we discussed how Meta is offering $100 million checks and
Yeah.
signing bonuses. Right. As of this week, Meta is pulling back and downsizing its AI division. A month and a half later,
Telling you, we're doing a speed run. The whole
a month and a
manic.
half later,
Yeah, this is classic manic depressive behavior, man.
pretty much. Guys, probably like whoever signed up, imagine. They've got, they've
They're
made
keeping the
bank for like 2 months of work.
yeah, they're keeping the bonus,
They are, of
obviously.
course, keeping the bonus, or they're going to,
So
going to
is there a hardware solution to this problem? Because that's how
hardware is
Apple.
what is going to kill the industry. Hardware is killing this industry. In fact, that was another part of what I wanted to get into, which is
Because that's how Apple dealt with it, right? They made the money on the device, straight up, and allowed the ecosystem enough time for it to grow and flourish, and then start becoming a serious source of revenue. Is there something that would work along those lines for AI, do you think? Because we
no,
have seen the terrible first attempts at AI devices.
yeah,
What was that? The humane pin and the rabbit.
Rabbit R1,
Those
yeah,
are only two big ones, right?
and even the Alexa Plus. Uh,
Yeah, it didn't really catch on.
hmm. So no, two aspects here when it comes to hardware,
Hmm.
and both are a huge negative for AI and how to extract money. One is on the consumer side, there is no hardware product that has come even close to. There's nothing exciting people. There's nothing even in the on the horizon as a hardware product that could excite people.
Hmm.
Uh, because how much technology, like we have a phone with us, between the phone and the earbuds, that's a perfect device to deliver whatever AI innovation you want, right, to simplify your life. AR glasses, sure, but there's a huge cultural pushback against that Meta Ray Bans are now starting to slightly overcome. But a new paradigm, a new kind of product, I don't see anything on the horizon. The Rabbit R1, like a lot of people were quite excited about it. Looks cute, looks helpful. But again, what is it doing that a smartphone cannot? So
Right.
that is a key problem. The second part is hardware uh, eating into their investment budget. So this is a Wall Street Journal piece from a few days ago. Data center development is souring the free cash flow for big tech, turning them from the kind of asset light businesses that markets love into entities burdened by physical real estate and
Yeah.
multi-year plans, multi-year hardware investment plans. Right. If you remember, we had a side discussion on my startup, and you'd said that you would value a SaaS company on free cash flow, right, as a multiple of free cash flow
Hmm.
for a steady state business.
Yeah.
These companies, so to quote from that piece, these companies, they earn their profits on intangible assets such as intellectual property, software, digital platforms with network effects. Adding revenue required little in the way of more buildings and equipment. This can be seen in a metric called free cash flow, roughly defined as cash flow from operations minus capex.
Right.
Right. From 2016 to 23, free cash flow and net earnings of Alphabet, which is Google's parent company, Amazon, Meta, and Microsoft grew roughly in tandem. But since 23, since the AI boom sort of caught up,
Mm-hmm.
the two have diverged. Their combined net income is up 73% in the second quarter from 2 years earlier, while free cash flow is down 30%. So Apple also is seeing free cash flow lag behind. So this is a huge problem for them, even for the big five, big six. There is a huge systemic risk here because they need to invest a lot more. They're burning through a lot of cash, and a lot of that cash is going into hardware, into multi-year plans for hardware, data centers,
Which
GPUs.
rapidly becomes obsolete. While you were speaking, the voice in my head was screaming, "This is exactly what a utility company looks like. This is what a power company
Yes.
looks like.
Yes,
What a water
exactly.
supply company looks like." And they are valued at very, very low multiples because of all these issues. Because demand can shift very quickly, but your supply takes years to ramp up, is obsolete very quickly, requires constant maintenance, and software is clean. You can ship it from anywhere in the world. It does not leak. It does not have all those problems. This is a utility. What you're describing, that those data centers, is a utility.
So we've ended up in a situation where the big five are spending on hardware, on long term hardware plays, right?
Yeah.
And should be valued like, if not a utility, but somewhere between where they are and a utility, right? So they are overvalued. And the layer one companies, it looks like they'll never be allowed to make money by these big five who sit behind them. So, what does that mean for the industry? And last point I'll then make on this financial engineering and the bubble. This is, I'm quoting Ed Zitron again. The magnificent seven stocks, Nvidia, Microsoft, Alphabet, Apple, Meta, Tesla, Amazon, they make up around 35% of the value of the US stock market. Microsoft, Amazon, Meta, Alphabet, and Tesla, like five out of those seven, they alone make up 42% of Nvidia's revenue. So if they stop buying, Nvidia crashes. Nvidia is apparently some 3.5% of the GDP of the US. I will double check that figure, but it's mad. It is wild. Right. So, yeah.
Price upwards of 3 trillion US dollars. The market cap of Nvidia is more than
So,
3
what is the
trillion.
GDP of the US approximately?
I don't know.
Microsoft is spending
More than 100.
47% of its capex on NVIDIA chips. And Microsoft also spends money renting servers from CoreWeave. Remember CoreWeave? Which launched at, I think, $40, went up to 170 and is now at 90. So it's come down a long way since then. This is all 6 months. That is not a pleasant situation for the industry to be in and be throwing insane amounts of money at hardware.
What's the end game? Where do you see this going? It's
Wow.
an arms race right now. Fine. The smaller companies which are along for a, not a free ride, but along for a ride, are constantly jumping on and getting thrown off every time these big rhinos. Okay, rhinos change direction. Fine. That's where we are today.
Hmm.
Where are we headed? What's the end
So
game? Something has to
uh,
give in all of this.
something has to give. And like, how long will you keep pumping money? Where is all
Mhm.
that money coming from? If your free cash flow is going down, how long do you keep investing before someone says, look, what the hell is going on here? Right. I haven't even got into the cultural aspect of it, which is, oh God, I'm going to. Right. Since I'm talking about AI after a long while, I have a lot to get into. So,
Just let it
uh,
all.
so
This is a
okay,
safe.
this is a safe space. Nobody watches our podcast anyhow, right?
Exactly. That was a joke.
Huh. Okay, for these companies have to stop spending at some point
Mhm.
because the valuations are so far out of whack, and The revenues are so tiny compared to the investments.
Right.
And these guys are still saying, no, no, we'll keep spending. It is required. So Ed Zitron again, I think. So great guy. You should actually $7 a month, but worth it. The kind of writing he does. He's very angry. He's like
Hmm.
the Louis Black of AI research. So Sam Altman said, I am prepared to lose money till 2028 and spend whatever it takes. And Ezitron compared him to Lord Farquaad. Do you remember Lord Farquaad?
Some of you will die.
But that is a sacrifice I'm willing to make.
Great quote. Great movie. Yeah. Anyway,
Yes.
go.
Yeah. The layer ones are necessary and they have to make money. Layer ones are very quick to profitability typically in a
Yeah,
lot of these
they should
cycles.
be. They should be.
They should be. They're not doing
Yeah.
the mad hardware investment. They're
Yeah.
just paying for tokens,
Correct.
adding some value add and packaging and selling.
Mm-hmm.
Right. But the layer ones are not being able to monetize also because there's a glut of them. Like my co-founder, we were discussing on Friday, he spends a few hours a week looking at new layer one AI, like marketing specific or tech specific new
Mm-hmm.
websites. I keep seeing Instagram reels on, okay, this new AI tool has popped up, that new AI tool has popped up.
Right.
There's a glut of them. They're commoditized already. No one remembers their names, and sure, maybe one or two will become profitable. Maybe 10 will, but there's no massive ecosystem like we saw in the app development space. Of suddenly, I launch a game one day and oh, it's flown to the top and making me money
Right.
because these guys are not able to recover their costs, and just the cost of compute is so high for everyone
Hmm.
that no one is making money along the chain right now. So I don't foresee this ending very well. I still believe in the theory that there is no great B2C offering here. Maybe it'll get better at search, sure. Maybe it takes over search. But almost by definition, like the search market also, it's living in this huge monopoly bubble of Google
Hmm.
controlling the buyer, the seller, the exchange, everything.
Yeah.
If AI search takes off, this industry dies or almost dies. It comes way down. You can't have AI search being seeded with ads. Like right in the results, you might have pop-ups on the side, but if AI search is better, it will get me better as a consumer means I get to what I want quicker from the summary itself or maybe the top 2 3 results. Google for so
Right.
many years has been incentivized, and this is again the first article I read by Ed Zitron, the man who killed Google search. That's the title. This guy Prabhakar Ravagavan. I'll send you that article. I'll link it here. Fantastic,
Yeah.
fantastic researching. Is this guy came from Yahoo, was brought in
Mm-hmm.
from Yahoo to manage Google search, and he actually their internal mail saying we want people to spend more time on Google search because then we can show them more ads. So that is
Right.
enshittification right there.
Mm-hmm.
That let's make Google less useful to the customer. AI search will take over from Google if it is more useful to the customer, and by definition, more useful means I'm spending less time there. So which reduces the ad exchange values, which reduces the size of the ad market. It will massively cause a contraction. A lot of
Mm-hmm.
people are seeing that already. Uh, I don't know if this is just, there are no figures, right? Because Google is the whole marketplace
Yeah.
and all aspects of it. So no one really knows if I, as a corporate client of Google, spending money on Google ads, if I start seeing fewer conversions from Google ads, is it because of contraction because AI search is taking over, or is it because my competition is doing better? I don't know.
Hmm.
Right. So we don't really know, but I suspect this will start coming down as the only practical application of consumer application of AI, which is AI search. As it takes over, this will start coming down. On the B2B side, it's a great tool. Sure, there are many use cases, but how many $20 a month users can you sustain when you're spending like in the hundreds of billions of dollars? So I don't foresee this ending well. The use cases are improving. I can see it getting better, but as I pointed on the WhatsApp group we're on, this was an actual search I did on Perplexity, which was very handy. You go to Urvan is his web nursery, right? I love it. Uh, Go to their site, their 99 rupees sale,
Mm-hmm.
and find me plants that can grow indoors in Delhi weather. I have these 2-inch deep trays with no holes at the bottom, do the research, and find me plants from that page that I should buy. It
Mhm.
did. Those plants are behind me right now. I'll find out in a few weeks if that search worked or not, or it hallucinated. But or if I don't have a green thumb, which I don't, it's getting better.
Very
Right,
true.
but hallucinations are still a fact. They can keep reducing and going up and down. So, which yeah, that is the other problem with
Less so
B2B
than
applications.
earlier, right? The hallucinations have gone way down from what I've
They
heard.
have, but uh, enterprise applications require zero hallucinations. A lot of them.
True. Yeah. Okay.
Since Microsoft, I have to mention this last point on this one. I'm jumping around too much.
Sure, sure.
Microsoft has introduced AI in Excel, AI searches, AI formulas in Excel. Right.
Yeah.
And the example given by Mr. Nadella was you can now, in a cell, you can search for and you can list down all the airport codes of the top airports in Australia. And it'll just show up in multiple cells. That's not what I use Excel for. But also, he pointed out, or the company pointed out later,
Mm-hmm.
that don't use it for critical numbers because it might not be accurate. Which
Right.
is just what I want to hear about Excel, right? That I can't rely on it for accuracy anymore.
Every
At least I can
every
get
Excel model should have
I
that disclaimer at the bottom. Every
yeah, but
complex model has been built by an intern with a prayer and spit and duct tape should have that at the bottom.
but
Don't
they've
take this as
introduced AI in Excel, which means I can. But the result is I can now run a web search in AI, in Excel, which I have never done and I have never felt the need to. But
yeah,
suddenly I can't trust the numbers anymore in Excel.
which is a numbers application. Yeah, I see your point. I see your point. Back to what I was going to say.
Hmm.
Isn't this exactly how email looked 25 years ago or 30 years ago? 20, yeah, almost 30 years ago.
Elaborate.
Running an email server then was expensive when Hotmail came about. It was a free service and it cost a lot to run on the back end back then because
Hmm.
servers were really expensive, right? And phone lines and all that infrastructure was expensive. But Hotmail gave it out for free. And even 25 years later, mail is still free today, right? But there are ways to monetize this. Would it be possible for AI to go down that path? Because the hardware right now, the NVIDIA chips for the most part, are so expensive because they are so new and because they are so cutting edge. But just like with smartphones, you're going to reach a plateau, and that's going to happen with these graphic cards as well. And then AI can be free perpetually, provided you can find even a small revenue stream down the line, which is what Mail did, right?
It's a small revenue stream, right? I could get mail for free. I could run my own server if it were.
Today,
Uh,
but 30 years
if
back, you couldn't.
mail weren't so cheap, right? But it's commoditized, right? Right now for my company, I pay 145 rupees a user for Outlook, for Excel, for
Yep.
Word, for Teams, right? For some 300 other apps that they keep throwing at me, for Copilot, which I don't want but can't disable. Uh, 145 rupees a month per user. It's commoditized. So how do they recover the hundreds of billions of dollars of investment, even if they get there? The second point I would say
Mm.
is yes, things become cheaper over time, right? In tech, that's what they bank on. That
Yeah.
eventually my hardware spending will reduce. If they felt that way, why would they still be putting so much money into hardware, into data centers that will come like 3, 4 years down?
Because right now it's a land grab.
With money they don't have, they're
That's
running out
not,
of
it
money.
doesn't matter. It doesn't matter.
Are they assuming that again? Are they applying the same Mark Anderson moat thinking that eventually I will become a monopoly and
And then,
everyone will use my AI? But then
yeah,
they are believing their own LinkedIn posts. They're smoking too much. They're getting high on their own supply. People will stop using it if they think कि today I'm charging $20. I'll turn everyone into a $200 a month user at the
mhm.
B2C level for a search engine. They're crazy.
Just one use case.
Hmm.
Broadly, we can agree that loneliness is a problem and it's going to get worse. Broadly, globally, in India as well, whatever. Loneliness is an issue, right? With just that one use case, if you have an AI companion to talk to, no, we're not going to be discussing the movie Her. Okay? Leave Scarlett Johansson's, keep Scarlett Johansson's name out of your goddamn mouth. This
The
isn't that.
cultural aspect of AI, which I was going to get into, but probably won't now for lack of time, was exactly about these AI companions. It's very icky,
Yeah,
but yeah, do
I
tell.
if that's the only company I have, I will pay $200 a month, even if it means cutting corners somewhere else in my personal expenditure. I will pay for it. Are there enough of these use cases to sustain all the spending they're doing now? I don't know. But if they just find enough of these, I think they'll be all right.
I don't think enough people will pay $200 a month for an AI companion. For what?
Yes,
Like AI companion from a friendship angle, or just as my assistant to help me do everything?
from a friendship angle. As you know, somebody uh, who's there constantly, who's an assistant when I need it to be, and a companion when I need it to be. That.
That is what they're thinking is the end game, right?
Yeah.
Somehow I don't see that assistant use case for everything that I need it to be. I'll take one specific example, which brings
Mm-hmm.
me back to a very common example that a lot of these companies take. And that AI blogger that I talked about earlier in this episode, he'd
Mm-hmm.
also written that GPT-5 will do stuff like arranging your visas, right?
Yeah.
And one common use case we've discussed this before is like it'll DoorDash for you, the assistant. It
Mm-hmm.
runs into business realities. Why would a DoorDash, which is the American Zomato, why would Zomato allow any kind of API to order on their behalf? Even assuming the perfect kind of assistant comes up, Zomato makes money by keeping you on, by getting you on their homepage and showing you offers. Why would Zomato allow some third party assistant to take over that? Either Zomato does it if they're making hell of a lot of more money, right? That
But Zomato does work with Google, right? How different is it from me searching on the Google search box?
to get you to
Uh,
Zomato.
no, Zomato space, Taco Bell, burrito, whatever. And then it shows me this exact specific link that I want, and I click on that and I place the order. That
Yeah, yeah,
does
but
happen.
but you are still using Zomato then.
And I would still would in this case. The
No,
order is still going through
no.
DoorDash.
The order
So,
is still going through DoorDash, but you as a user are not
yeah,
visiting DoorDash anymore. You're just telling your Alexa app,
Vineet,
order me 3 burritos from mushroom burritos or whatever,
right.
right, from Taco Bell. And at the back end, this goes to DoorDash, places the order, DoorDash brings you. You are not,
Yeah,
as a user, you're not interacting with DoorDash.
right.
Right. Right
Which
now, if
means
you just visit a Google link,
tomorrow
hmm,
it could be somebody else instead of DoorDash because I have no direct exposure to their.
but then DoorDash becomes the utility,
Yeah, right.
which is then valued at a 3x, 4x, 5x, not
Hmm,
a 50x. That is the problem. DoorDash and Zomato will not allow this.
right.
They don't want to be the utilities. They don't want to be the backend.
Hmm,
They want customers on their interface. So I can sell a district movie coupon on the same interface. I can offer this restaurant, which gives me higher margins. I can sell ads. They run into that same problem. Everyone wants to be the one interacting with the customer.
true. Cool. So is the solution uh, a sub window like a mini browser which pulls up the relevant UI of say Zomato?
If I still need my phone screen or computer screen to interact, then what good is the AI assistant?
True.
That is a fundamental problem, a business reality. This guy
Right.
talking about, oh, it'll book visas, it'll get you a visa, right? Has this guy ever met VFS? How will VFS then upsell you walk in and they lied
I'm
to my
not
parents?
getting. Yeah, I'm not getting personal, but is the blogger Indian or Desi?
Yeah.
Then yeah, then the whole description of what ChatGPT 5 is going to do was probably written by ChatGPT 4.0.
Yeah, probably.
Because no Indian or Pakistani or Bangladeshi passport holder is going to sneak visas in there. Nobody who has
That's
lived
like saying GPT-5 will go to the RTO and renew my license for me.
that. Which at the DMV maybe the RTO is not going to
Yeah.
happen.
I think I should stop there. I will stop
Yeah,
the
and I think
cultural part later. Hmm.
we'll wrap it here.
Yeah. What was your second story out of curiosity?
The gaming ban.
The gaming bang. Let's get into that next week. I will get
Yeah.
into the cultural aspects of AI next week. The Elon Musk fashioning his anime AI girlfriends after his ex girlfriends, ex wives. God, and
Okay.
you get into the gaming ban because that's a big one. That's an interesting story
Oh,
to get.
yeah, yeah, yeah. You went into rant mode, so I thought I'll save my rant for next week.
See you next week. See you
Yeah.
guys. Thank you
All
for tolerating my rant. Bye bye.
right. Bye bye.